This is an interesting problem. I've seen trinomials before, and I've seen them with the leading coefficient of a 1, but this one has a negative out in the front. So the leading coefficient here is not 1, but it's negative 1. So we have two steps, our first two steps to factor a trinomial. And the first one is to make sure it's in order, and the second one is to make sure there's a GCF. Okay? We are going to have more steps to come, but for right now, these are the only two we need. So is this one in order? Yes, it is in order. I see x squared, and then x to the first, and then no x's, or x to the 0. So it's in order. The next step is there a GCF? And in this case, there is a GCF. The leading coefficient is a negative 1, and what I need to do is I need to factor out a negative 1 from all three of these. Okay, my leading coefficient is going to need to be positive before I factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a negative 1. I'm going to factor it out of each one of these terms, and let's see what we get. Really, the only thing that's going to happen is all of my signs are going to change. So negative 1x squared divided by negative 1 is going to give me a positive x squared, right? Plus 18x divided by negative 1 is going to give me minus 18x. And minus 65 divided by minus 1 is going to be a plus 65. So now I have my negative 1 out in front, and this is going to tag along. It's going to stay out there. And now I'm going to factor the trinomial that I'm left with. When I factor this trinomial, I'm going to get two binomials. So now I need to figure out what goes in these four green blanks. So the first two blanks are going to be x and x. Okay, and remember that's coming from, here's my first two terms. Now my last two terms need to multiply to give me 65. So I'll come over to the side, I'll write down 65, and now I need to list all my factors of 65. And there's not many. There is 1 times 65, and then 5 times 13, and that's it. Okay, you can try all the other numbers. Those are the only ones that are going to work. So, which of these pairs is going to add to give me a negative 18? 5 and 13. So my two numbers are going to be 5 and 13. And now let's look at the signs. The plus tells me that they are the same. So they're both the same. And I look over here to find out that they are both negative. So here's a minus and here's a minus. Now, when I get the answer for this, a lot of people forget this negative 1 out front. They just totally forget it, and it would be wrong. You have to have that negative 1 out front for it to be able to multiply back together to get what you started with.